Hello everyone, welcome to the Evil Empire. I'm your host, Evil Empire, and this week's feature is Jeskai Mastery. So, this is a deck that we have seen twice before on the feature, previously titled Jeskai Kahira and Jeskai Opus on two previous episodes, right when the Mystical Archive joined Historic around April. When that released, those videos came out, and I have to say this is always a risk when you play a big deck, a well-known deck, that those previous ones, people just really did not want to view those videos. So, you know what, I hope you want to see this video. I hope you're here today to watch some crazy control nonsense, and let's get stoked about playing one of the big well-known tier decks in the format, something that definitely has a target on its back, and you can actually metagame pretty successfully around this deck, frankly, as far as I'm concerned. I don't see what all the big fuss is about. It is a very powerful deck, no doubt. Does things that control decks should not be able to do, you know, just like being able to plus Teferi, hold up Memory Lapse, or hold up Dovin's Veto, or hold up Lightning Helix. Preferably you want to have like even two of the three, which would really be the best thing. Yeah, that is extremely powerful, but there are ways to attack this deck, and especially with the new creature lands in Historic, like if this Jeskai deck doesn't have a Memory Lapse, or sorry, not a Memory Lapse, but a Lightning Helix rather to deal with a Faceless Haven, for example, like you will just lose to that card like very easily, because most of your interaction is sorcery speed, and your other piece of instant speed interaction in terms of Prismari command does not even begin to touch Faceless Haven. So you really have to do something crazy like, you know, Gear Hulk back a Magma Opus just to deal with a Faceless Haven, because that can be a pretty tricky and problematic card with this deck. So other things that I think are interesting about the rebuild of Jeskai control since the banning of Brainstorm, basically what I've been looking to do is to get an edge in the mirror by playing two Dovin's Vetoes main deck. That actually also really comes into handy with the Dragonstorm nonsense that's been going around. The other ways I've been looking to get an edge are basically just kind of doing the Magma Opus, Gear Hulk Mastery package, and you really want to win with this deck by just kind of burning them out on an overloaded Mastery. Like, overloading Mythic's Mastery is probably the I would say the best win condition in the deck, if not maybe the primary one. Probably the primary one is just Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. And just while we're on the subject of Big Tef, I think honestly people tend to overrate the card. It doesn't really solve all of your problems, although it does solve an awful lot. It's really much better when you're ahead, right? When you just want to resolve Teferi on an empty board, would really be ideal. Because he can't catch you up unless you've wrathed, or he can't catch you up unless you have cleaned up the board in other ways. So I think when we look back on this era of Historic, when Teferi decks were so dominant, primarily in Jeskai, although you do, you know, occasionally see Esper variants and other variants floating around, I think when we look back on this era, it's going to kind of be like Dominaria Standard, or, you know, when Dominaria was in Standard, where like this was kind of like, we thought it was super bad, but we didn't really know how bad it could get yet, because Wizards is about to unleash the Jumpstart Historic Horizons set on August 12th, and I think that's when kind of Wizards has that Russell Crowe moment where they're like, "Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?" And they just kind of unleash the power of the modern format all over Historic's face. So again, I think it's one card that's very hated right now is Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, because it's a 5-mana planeswalker that you can plus, and it effectively costs 3 mana. Or, you know, you could look at it a different way and say that like you have a 7-mana turn when you play it. But it does provide an explosion of mana. It's true, but it's also a 5-mana planeswalker that I'm usually tapping out to cast. Maybe unless it's a control mirror. So it's definitely susceptible to counter magic. That's one thing. Just, you know, just play blue. What's your problem? That's what every blue mage says, right? Just play blue. What's wrong with you? And then another thing I would say about him is just gonna kind of be passed by once the heavy hitters of Modern arrive. You know, he is a 2-of, I think, in the modern control decks that do run Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, but I think just his presence in the format, he's going to be kind of lower powered compared to some of the things that are common, like, you know, I presume Ragavan and some of the really crazy stuff from MH2 will eventually be previewed by the time all the Jumpstart Historic Horizons previews come out. But, like, ultimately, I think we will look back on this era the way we look back on that kind of standard of the Dominaria era, like 2018, 2019, is that it was kind of actually pretty low powered when we compare it to the things that came, like Eldraine and beyond, or even like if you want to look at it that way, like M20 and beyond, because M20 was really, really powerful when it did introduce like Golos and Field of the Dead and stuff. But overall, just a typical, pretty much stock, almost entirely stock. I guess most stock lists would run the full 4-gear Hulk and you know, only one Dovin's Veto. List of Jeskai control. So we're now going to take that into the historic ranked queue. You'll notice that the first game is from the July season, and it's really, really high numbers, you know, getting up, I think, somewhere in the 1200s by the end of that. And I did, in fact, manage to come in the top 1200 in the season, but I was not using this deck. I'll be using next week's deck, which I'm not going to preview too much here, but basically it was a deck that was suggested to me by the Twitch streamer Airball. Shout out to Airball. You should definitely check out his Twitch stream if you haven't already. And so I will show that deck next week, but for this week, Jeskai control, and we're going to take it into the historic ranked queue, and let's have some fun. Yeah, this seems like a fine enough hand, I guess. It's not perfect, but it covers a lot of bases. It's good against creatures. It has a limited game against control with veto. But, I mean, obviously against control, the Wrath and the Anger are totally dead. It's one reason you might consider running a Sweltering Suns instead of an Anger of the Gods, but I just love the Exile clause on this with the idea that Cat Oven's kind of back after the Brainstorm ban. Alright, so I'm going to lead on Raugrin Triumph. Looks like a control mirror. Opponent's on Hollowed Fountain, so... Yep. Arden Veil just confirms that. Kind of control style build. Oh, okay, interesting. It's a Solemnity 9 lives deck. 9 life Solemnity damage prevention deck. That's fine. We can totally get around that with the Teferi. Teferi emblem solves all issues here.
Those who cannot perceive keep an open mind.
Alright, I mean, I'll take double veto. I'm not going to say no. No, they're going to get their... Yeah, it's kind of what I figured. They're going to get their combo online. That's, again, not too terrible for us.
Meditate and prepare.
I think it's just next Narset, even though the rest of those are tempting. We really don't have a way to use them yet, because it's damage prevented. So, yeah, gonna drop off an Anger. Not really concerned about Anger of the Godzing here. And what next? From the opponent. Oh, nothing? So, yeah, then I'm just going to EOT the control modes here with draw 2, discard 2, make a token of treasure. Alright, well, it feels pretty bad to get laps there, but get them out of their hands. Certainly we want them using laps on that. On something else. Yep, we'll just do that main phase, try to hit land drop. Don't tase me. Okay, I can pay for that. I don't mind that. Good. Alright, so we hit land drop and we drop off a couple of things. It's going to be a Wrath and a Commit, I think. Because Commit's not a super effective counterspell. Should probably drop off Search, but like, I love Search. I'm never getting rid of Search in my life. So I've got the Commit, and here's the Wrath. Got there eventually. I don't know if you're aware, but I mean, I can't really play and comment at the same time, the way a lot of streamers do. So I comment after the fact. Yeah, Narset cannot resolve. Cannot, will not, does not. Now we just have to pray that the opponent does not have land drop for turn. Now I am still going to play around Mana Tithe here. So I think that means instead of Teferi, we're going to search for Kanta. They've shown Mana Tithe. I imagine it's a 4 of in their list. They wanted to use it when we vetoed their Narset, but obviously you can't counter Dovin's veto. So that's why it's really such a ridiculous trump card in the mirror. In control mirrors, Dovin's veto is just the most stone cold lock You want to be really careful with your Dovin's vetoes, like here, for example. I'm actually going to wait until next... let's just do it. We have enough to pay for Tithe, and I don't think they have Lapse. Okay, they have Lapse. That's terrible. We're in a tough spot now. Alright, so what do they do here? They're owned to Fairy. Okay, well now we're in big trouble, yeah.
I'm known for my excellent timing.
Alright, so one thing that mitigates this is I have Narset active, so...
Let's skip to the good part.
Yeah, not going to draw a card. That's really nice. We need them to lose card advantage if possible, so Narset's a big hero for this. No veto? Please no veto. I would like to move up in the ranks. Please no veto. I'm at 1400. Come on. No veto. I need to get higher. That's not... If you notice, 1400 is higher than 1200, so I need to get higher. Alright, sweet.
If
Very
you
resolved.
show remorse, I'll show restraint. We
Such a
need
good
to
guy.
move quickly.
So merciful to his enemies when they, you know, are sorry about it. Alright, so we've still got the Narset lock on them. This, again, strictly untapped lands. Does not draw
Let's
an extra
skip
card.
to the good part.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Alright. So I think this is going to be 2 at Teferi, and then just make a treasure. And then just straight up, like, flip Buzz Kanto, resolve Magma Opus next turn. Alright, sweet. 1253. It's pretty dope. This is where I switched over to Mono Black after this. I mean, I shouldn't, but I'm going to. Search for Kanta. I shouldn't, but I just love it so much. Oh boy. Alright, that's the best start that Auras can have, because now their 2-drop is protected from Lightning Helix. And notably, Alseid cannot do this, because Alseid costs a mana to activate. So, Savior, about 1,000 times better. I mean, it functions where Alseid doesn't here. So, yeah, that's gonna be game. I mean, we were frankly lucky they didn't Thoughtseize us, but yeah, no, we're out of this one pretty badly. It's gonna take a minor miracle. Sentinel's Eyes on their SRAM. Cartouche. No, they're going to draw into land drop now for sure. As expected. And Thoughtseize me, right? Or Inquisition. Oh, even worse. The Selfless Savior is back. I'm done. Thanks, bye. It's season reset, so there's really no reason to sit through this nonsense. Or it's over. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it. Just need a way to flashback. So we have 5 of those in the deck. If I draw a Gear Hulk, this hand's good. If I draw Mastery, this hand's good. Opponent mull to 5. Sacred Foundry tapped. Jeskai Triumph tapped. Sorry, Raugrin Triumph, whatever. Okay, Dragonstorm is the opponent's deck. They are on a Thrilling Discovery. Now, Narset's really good against them. So, definitely going to be resolving that turn 3. Even though it does leave us open to Mythic's Mastery, they don't have anything good in the yard. Right? They just have the nonsense. So, they can't put something in the yard because they don't have Prismari Command, blue mana. They can't put anything in the yard at instant speed. So, I'm actually safe here to resolve Narset, I think. Okay, now they've discarded Scholar, and it's a problem, right?
The focused and disciplined encounter no obstacles.
So I'm going to have to get really lucky here. They're going to be able to resolve Scholar, but they're not going to get anything good with it. They're not going to get, like, you know, Emergent Ultimatum, which is, I guess, the usual target. Or Dragonstorm, if that's the type of deck we're dealing with. Now this is just straight discard, yeah. Alright, well that wasn't exactly what we wanted. We're going to pay life in case something good happens. Oh, okay, yeah, just tuck the Scholar. They can't. They don't even have blue mana. They can't resolve it.
You'll thank me, but you need to slow down.
We are going to proc Narset here because we're falling behind.
I have just the trick for this.
Good God, do I just grab Narset? I think I do, yeah. It makes the most sense to just keep them off card draw. Just prevent the opponent from drawing. Alright, resolve on burial rights. Scholar doesn't really get much that's good, and again, they can't really resolve the thrill here because... or whatever that thing is, thrilling nonsense.
We need to move quickly.
Ah, come on. I just need, like, Lightning Helix, honestly.
Keep an open mind.
Lightning Helix! It's Lightning Helix! Alright, so get rid of Scholar the old-fashioned way. Tap out for it, sadly. Deal 2. I could make the opponent... oh no, that only works on their turn. I'll just make a treasure. No, I think I really want the filtering, actually. Yeah, I just need to find Wrath for... oh, it's the flute track again. This has had good omens for us in the past, so I'm happy. This track has had good omens, good feels. Alright, so we have Memory Lapse. That feels pretty good. Thoughtseize really makes my counterspell bad here. I think this is just lapse it back and pray to draw Wrath of God. Because now they can resolve their Burial Rights. Flute music, why are you taunting me? Oh goodness. Thrilling Discovery, again, it's just gonna make you straight discard. I don't know why the opponent keeps doing this. Okay, yeah, they're not gonna. Alright, we could just top deck the card we need, that's fine too.
No time for a break.
If I pay the life, I can hold up commit? That's insane, alright. That's an insanely good turn. Yep, get rid of that, you're never playing it. And I think we do commit Thoughtseize here. Because again, there's really nothing that they can resolve. They have to have exactly land on Burial Rights in hand to resolve anything good here. Yep, and they did not have those cards. Shocking surprise. Alright, goodbye, weird combo player. Alright, so starting back out at the bottom here. Good old Plat 4. Let's see what we can do here, if we can get back into it. Alright, yeah, and it's going to be quite the race to Mythic this 10-day season that we have. So, good luck, everybody. I think I'm going to try to take a different path and just do best of 3 to rank up because it was so much easier. I highly recommend best of 3 ranking for anybody who struggles in best of 1. It's you have much more agency. Alright, so question here. At least it feels that way. Do I kill War Master? Do I kill Allosaurus Shepherd? This is tough. I think it's going to be War Master. It's not great either way, honestly. Alright, Wrath feels pretty good. We're gonna not do it next turn, though, I don't think. Narset, have them put everything else out on the table.
Present, I have just the trick for this.
And then we'll Wrath them next turn. Yep. Yeah, so we really can't allow them to untap with Archdruid. It's just not a tenable position in any way. You see a lot of this Elves deck in best of 1. You don't see it as much in best of 3. Alright, opponent, what do you got to say to the Wrath? The game begins now. Commence the game. Coco for the opponent is pretty good. Oh, wow, they hit well, too. Ah, but I just drew another Wrath. Goodbye. Trade your Coco for my Wrath. Yep, Planecrawler's fine. Yeah, this is, again, a good restart from the opponent, but I don't think it's actually going to matter much.
Let's slow that thought.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Just draw like a boss. That's all you need to do. Just draw like a boss. Alright, we're going to let that resolve for sure. Makes a 1-1. Makes another 1-1. They're 3-3s because of double Lord. points the clan caller at me, sure. We'll pretend like we drew the anger off the Teferi. Keeping up the pace here with Anger of the Gods. Boom. Puts their entire board into exile, and that'll be game. Bye-bye. Anybody out there who wanted to see a good Elves thrashing? It doesn't have a red, but I can fix with Magma Opus. I think it's keep. Looks like we're facing a Grixis pile. Grixis, because they have Zerta in the companion zone. We got the scary music for this game. Nicole Bolas in the house. Alright, so opponent fetches Island with their Fabled Passage. Plays Steam Vents, taps, and passes it back. Tapped and passes it back. I think this is going to be Magma Opus, cycle it. The opponent's probably going to resolve Narset here. Yeah. Not much I can do about that unless they proc it, which they won't.
Disciplined encounter no obstacles.
Yeah, now I've got a 2 on myself just to get rid of it.
I must stay focused.
We are going to give them the opportunity to proc it here, I think, if only because it may allow me to just kind of get out from under this Narset right now more easily by doing it on their turn. Because if they proc it, I don't have to shoot it. Yeah, I think the strategy, though, with Narset in the control mirror is always just, you very rarely proc Narset. Especially if you know the opponent has Burn. Alright, so they're going to force our hand. We're going to have to get rid of this Narset and just make a treasure. They're going to take Teferi here. With their Thought Eraser.
I still have much to learn.
Okay, and now we just pass holding up commit. They're going to get a Sweltering Suns off the top of their library. Alright. So here comes a 5-mana Bolas Planeswalker, or maybe a 4-mana Bolas Creature / Planeswalker. Yeah. So it's Ravager. We'll put that back on the... Ooh, he can't let this thing get resolved. It's a good threat. I mean, they're only 3 turns away from flipping it. Sorry, 2 turns, rather. Alright. This is something, but I don't know if it gets us out of it. Don't think it gets us out of it. We're going to try to resolve Gearhulk on their turn, force them to play the counterspell with the... Goodness gracious, alright. Our set resolves again. Feels bad,
Mind
man.
and body should move in unison, like
Alright,
wind
do I
and wave.
Gearhulk here? I don't think so. I think I just shoot an Narset for 3. We'll save the Gearhulk for the next go-around. I think they have counter here anyway.
Just wait a moment.
Yeah, it feels like they have counter as I'm casting each spell. So if they are going to counter it, we want them to do that while it's their turn. And hopefully they will play this Bolas without cracking the passage or playing a land. Nope, not going to do that. Okay. Not going to try to resolve Gearhulk. They seem to be waiting on Gearhulk, which is not great. If the opponent knows how to play around it, then we're going to get got, I think. They're going to force the Gearhulk. Alright. So what have they got in response? Just lapse it? Okay, that's not the worst. It's not in our hand now. So you can't eraser it. It's like a really weird corner case where something like Remand would actually be better, but... opponent thinking about whether they want to crack passage now. Interesting. What color do they get? Black? Okay. So now we just main phase it because it's not... Yeah, it's public information, obviously. Okay, resolves. Did not expect that to resolve. Are they just going to lapse the copy? Oh, even worse. Yeah, just straight to exile. Yeah. Alright, well, that's game, probably. They just need to resolve their little bolas creature, planeswalker dude. Oh, they'll just go for the big dragon god himself. Come on, not even the foil one? Alright, it's probably time to concede.
Perish!
We just draw land from here. We probably will. Alright, I'll at least proc Narset.
I have practiced against many foes. Hone your prowess.
Yeah, that's not what you want to see. Yeah. We just played this one badly somehow. And opponent had double Cling to Dust, so that's going to be really... They're heavily teched against the deck. Exile this land, I guess. Narset
I shall
matter.
miss your company.
Game's over.
Let your weak minds crumble.
Cycle this, get my card out from under Narset. And concede. Yeah, it's over. It's an interesting question to keep this one. I think I keep it, though. I think so. Seems right because you have lapse for early interaction. Just kind of hope to get some kind of spell to put into the yard. Alright, looks like... Oh, that's a good one. Alright, we're going to be able to turn 3 this. So, elves, it looks like. Snow elves. Yep, there's the shepherd. So, definitely snow elves, then. So, play the Arden Veil. Mastery for Opus. Alright, let's go. Take out both of their little elves. There might be some discussion about whether you want to wait till next turn to do this, but I feel like we just let them get too far ahead if they have 4 mana next turn. So 3 is much more manageable, puts us in a better position. And from here, we're just hoping to draw a Wrath. Alright, so I'm gonna Hallowed Fountain tapped, pass the turn, after attacking. Try to clock them as best we can. What's the opponent's play? Clan Caller is probably going to be the target of the Prismari command. And that way we'll only take 1 damage here. So, kill Clan Caller, make a treasure. Play to Fairy next turn. Attack. Yeah, resolve to Fairy, plus...
I know
Holding
what
up in
must be.
laps.
Let's skip to the good part.
Alright, next to Fairy is not a great draw here. Haven, Shepherd. God, Uncounterable is annoyingly good here. Uncounterable is very rarely good until it's extremely good. That's the problem with uncounterable ability thing.
That was uncalled for.
Now the question is, do I take out their mana source?
You know what? I'm not done yet.
Oh, land there is brutal. Do I take out their mana source or do I take out the payoffs? I think I take out the mana source, although they can still activate. That's the issue, is they're going to be able to activate either War Master or Shepherd no matter which one I kill, so just, I guess, kill the Enabler. Discard a lapse, discard a lapse. Discard a land, I guess. Now the trouble here is I can't... Oh, I should have discarded Opus. Oh! God, if I discard Opus, I might have won. I could have won that by just discarding Opus there. And then, yeah, just at the end step, when I untap those two, and you would have needed to set a stop, but yeah, now I'm just dead. No, I really blew that. Well, that's where you have to be able to play this deck and know how it works. So, I mean, I've played this deck long enough. I should know. I don't really have an excuse. I should know how it works. All right. Well, now I get to pay the penalty for messing up this deck. That is so tilting. I didn't discard Opus there. Flashback, Prismari command, target Allosaurus Shepherd, they pump, I lose. It's exact damage. Let's see what was on top. Nah, no Wrath. Now discard the Opus. Haha, funny joke. Yeah, block, take 15. Brutal. Brutal misplay. Alright, that's all she wrote for this game. Yeah. Gonna go for Opus on 2, discard it, make a treasure, Narset on 3. Hopefully that's good enough. Elves again? Yeah. Alright, it's gonna be a struggle. I'm gonna need to turn 4 the Gear Hulk by double Magma Opus on 2 and 3. And I'm gonna need that to like win the game, basically, is how this is gonna have to go. Yeah, so the temptation here is to Prismari command, let yourself get a little bit too, trigger happy with that and spend the treasure, but don't spend the treasure, yeah. Alright, pray to draw the land, which we did. Now pray they don't have heroic intervention, which I have been gotten by before. You wouldn't think that people would want it, but they have it. Main decking it in best of 1. Alright, so 1 to the Clan Caller, 2 to the Sentinel, 1 to the Shepherd. Because once the Lord's done, it's easier. I'm going to submit that. Tap a couple of their lands. Were they holding like 3 collected companies or something? Alright, so yeah, we guess we drew a Wrath. Don't have the red mana for Anger, but... Alright, opponent's not going to put it to the test. Sure. So farming Elves continues. Yeah, it's a fine functional hand. Opponent drops the Watery Grave tapped. I have Triome and Glacial Fortress. Okay, Grixis. Seeing Grixis today. Okay, so I'm just going to plan on Prismari command at the end of their turn. See what the opponent has to say about it. Choose the sort of control modes, right? Yeah, opponent should let this resolve. I'm going to discard Hulk because I don't have anything to flash back right now. And it's kind of a ways away. And a Triome. So I don't really need second Triome. First one fixes me pretty well. Not going to try for Narset or Teferi here. It's tempting, but no need. Of course I would draw Opus right after I got rid of Gear Hulk, right? But I genuinely think that we want the Helix a little bit more. Pick off a Narset or something. Temple of Malice tapped, does the scry. Scries to the bottom. Okay, feels good. Alright, so make a treasure token, make it my turn, pay the life for Steam Vents, play out Narset because I can think about what I want to do, depending on how they respond. I don't think I'm going to counter their counter. I think I'm just going to make sure I get that out of their hand so they don't have it for... Yeah. Alright, so they had drown, and we're going to let that just go ahead and resolve, although it's very tempting to lapse it back. You don't want to do that here because then you leave the counter spell shields down, which is not ideal in the control mirror. My hand just ran into the mic by accident, my fault. Alright. So I'm pretty happy to just pass it. Ooh. Yeah, that stings. That stings a lot. Okay. So it's hurtful. Now, the trouble with Cling is... Oh, Lord. Alright. Lapse. We've just got to prevent this from hitting the table. It's going to clock us and threaten to flip. Set Teferi. Plus Teferi.
Let's slow this down. No time for a break.
Play out land drop for a turn, which is good. Be one short of Gear Hulk, which is bad. Because I'm sure they're going to tap out. Oh, okay. Just this guy. And what does he do? Probably kills Teferi, right?
I am a god once again.
-3, kill Teferi. And then I'm going to Helix it away. Alright, so Helix showing why I kept it from earlier.
Another time, Planeswalker. Your existence is pointless.
Let me know if you're up for round 2.
Alright, so resolve Narset.
I know
Activate.
88 ways. Keep an open mind.
Prismari command. Yeah, I'll hold up Prismari command. I'm, again, one short on the Gear Hulk. Bit of a tilt. But sometimes you miss your land drop. What can you do? What's it gonna be, opponent? Probably the 4-mana creature Bolas. Yeah. Alright, so draw 2, create treasure. Kind of put myself in a pickle here. These are all going. We have all the treasure in the world, though.
Put thoughtfulness before action.
Grab another Narset. Alright, well, this has got to find Teferi to tuck.
And future. Meditate. And
Alright.
prepare.
That's huge. Teferi, tuck. Don't have counterspell or it's over. Okay, they didn't have it. Tuck
Trust
the
me,
Nicole Bolas, the
I'm
Ravager.
not ready for you quite yet.
Enter tap because I have nothing. Alright, well, again, now we've got to get super lucky again. So, that cannot be the end of the lucky breaks. We need more of those at this point. Opponent's got 4 cards in hand. We have Resolve Teferi, Resolve Narset, and 8 mana in play. Counting the treasure, so 7 actual mana sources. Which doesn't bode well for me, because the opponent has now, shocked in their 8th. Their 9th. No, their 8th land. What's it gonna be, opponent? Where's the kill spell gonna get pointed? Okay, so Bolas is gonna work like a Planeswalker killer. Basically, a 5-mana hero's downfall here. Narset has to go so they can
I
keep
was not
proccing.
prepared for this.
Plus on Teferi, we need to hit something so bad here. Lord. Oh, I should have made an extra soldier token or human token, whatever. Alright, that's a bit of a tilt. Yeah, just whatever. This Hall Fountain means nothing to me.
Witness a mote of my power.
10 mana for opponent. Bolas the Ravager, they are short of flipping so far. Alright, well here's where not making the second token kind of bites me. Oh, that's a draw. That is a draw.
Hurry.
We don't have a ton of great stuff, but you know what? It's enough to kill this Bolas, to kill this Planeswalker, so don't tase me. Nice. So I'm gonna need some cards as well, but let's just kill this, make a treasure. play Helix on the Ravager. Get it a second time with Prismari command. But this time draw some cards, discard some cards. Deal 2. Draw 2, discard 2. Oh, okay. Just the draw 2 versus the treasure mode. Okay. I don't know. I guess this and this. Sure. Yeah, I'll keep a handle on the Helix. It's fine. Okay, well now I want to keep the Opus. Because that'll be better when I resolve it outright. Which is actually a really powerful thing to do in Control Mirror. Just like either beginning of their turn to kind of tap down some of their resources, or you could even just EOT it if you want to be safer, and ideal to have counterspell backup, but not always possible. Okay, danger of getting this flipped on my grill. Game has been really back and forth. I'm just gonna cycle this so that it doesn't get discarded for no value. Alright, so lapse is a thing, but it's not a great thing. I'm gonna get rid of this Teferi.
You need to slow down.
To put the dragon back in the deck. Hit for 1. Jeez, how many Bolas these people have? All the Bolosses. Make another token. Alright, that's something. Gonna hang on to this to use against Bolas. And we'll see what they want to do here. With any luck, they'll tap out. We really can't do much about the fact that they can... They're going to be able to Cling to Dust one of the spells from our graveyard. Yeah, just a token. That's fine. Treasure token.
I outsmarted you eons ago.
Okay, good. They did tap out. Excellent. Then end step will resolve this Magma Opus. Put 4 into Bolas and see where we're at. Get him with the token as well. There's no reason to play very aggressively here because we're gaining some of the momentum back.
A feeble effort.
Okay, well that's just a win. So we didn't quite have enough before, but once we drew that mastery, we very much did. And the opponent's tapped out, so I'm just gonna dunk on Bolas here. Second overloaded mastery. Exile each card that's an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. Each one. Yeah, we made a double Opus. Alright, that's game. And I'm back with Jeskai Mastery. So this deck has performed extremely well for me on the ladder. I'm hovering around a 59, 60% win rate, somewhere in there. In terms of all my best of 1 games that I've played with it. Ultimately, I think what I found as I got closer and closer to top 1200 was that the way that some streamers, CGB, the way that they make it look easy to do best of 1 into the top numbers, it's not really that easy to get to top numbers, especially in best of 1, man. It's so hard. So what I ended up doing for that last final push in like the, I guess, last 24 hours of the season was to switch over to best of 3. And ended up playing the mono black snow aggro deck that Airball suggested, which is actually going to end up being next week's video when we get to the next week of the feature, episode 52. So I'll show that one off next week, but just kind of changes and things that I would make to this particular version. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to stay pretty much the same, honestly. I don't know that I would suggest any changes. I've been very happy with the second Dovin's Veto and having minus to Gear Hulk, but you know, it's really up to each particular player. I think it's worked very well for me in this format as a best of 1 deck. Definitely farms Elves. Like, Elves is your best matchup by far. You're probably about a 70-30 favorite. Maybe a little bit less than that, like 65-35 in the Elves matchup. But like, you definitely farm Elves. You definitely farm any of the creature decks. And then, you know, it's just worrying about control mirrors, which are always tough. So, you know, generally in those, it's just whichever version of the deck has the most counter spells wins. Although you can get some people Like if you get them to tap out and you just resolve mastery, boom, just, you know, all the damage you want. I've resolved an overloaded mastery for like, you know, fully 20 damage if you count the cards that I drew and then played off the mastery. You know what I mean? So like it's a fully capable deck. If it's able to overload even earlier than turn 8 with the treasures, because it ramps super hard with Prismari Command and Magma Opus. So that ramp is not for nothing, and it definitely gets you where you want to be in terms of putting burn spells in your yard. That's really the modus operandi with this deck. So overall, just a fun choice if you like control decks. If you are like me and kind of learned how to play control decks and learned how to like them, it's still super fun. Like I've always had a deep love for Search for Azcanta. It's just like, I've talked about this with the Airball as well. Like it's just such a sweetheart of a control card, and came out right at the time when I was returning to Magic. I returned around the Amonkhet block, and so this came out like, you know, I think what was it? Ixalan was right after Amonkhet, if I remember rightly, because like Ixalan would have been that fall set, yeah, and then Hour of Devastation, the last of the 2 Amonkhet block sets, was the summer before. So yeah, this just came out in like a really sweet spot and was like one of those cards that I always really wanted to have, and I do actually have one in my collection now in paper. So again, just a card that's really a deck and card here that's really nostalgic for me. And I just love the addition of Magma Opus. The whole Mastery, Gear Hulk, Opus package just really devastates opponents. Like if you have not had the chance to turn 3 Mizzix's Mastery targeting Magma Opus and just ruin some elf players' day, it's really fun, and I highly suggest that you do it if that is something that's, you know, within your wheelhouse. But overall, just top performer. I've enjoyed my time with it. I'm sad that it's going to kind of, I think, ultimately be passed by the very, very high power that's about to be injected into the format. But anyway, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next week in the Evil Empire, where we get up to some really crazy evil nonsense. And I'll see you then. This is Evil Empire, signing off.